Back again with the Retail Growth Series, and I am super, super pumped and excited to have the amazing Shep Hyken with me today. If you haven't checked him out, he is anything customer experience based, anything based around getting experiences going in your business. And if you're a retailer, this guy is fantastic. He's going to tell us a little bit about himself, introduce himself now, and I don't want to overtake the conversation because I do talk a lot. So thank you for joining me all the way from the States, Shep. Thank you so
much. Well, thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
Fantastic. Can you tell people what you're about, a little bit about you, for people that maybe don't know who you are yet?
The basic gist of it, if we were sitting next to each other on an airplane, we started to talk and you said, so what do you do for a living? I would ask the question, have you ever walked away from a business and thought, wow, that was an amazing experience, or those people are amazing? Well, that's what I help my clients achieve. I'm a customer service and experience expert, and I work with companies all over the world to create amazing experiences for not just their customers, but also their employees as well. I believe that what's happening on the inside of a company, any type of company, is going to be felt on the outside by the customer. So the whole idea of customer service and experience actually starts on the inside and works its way out.
Amazing. Yeah, so true, Shep. And I think I've worked in a lot of retailers and I've seen that. I've seen that as an employee, being in that shop floor and you're feeling the energy and the vibes. And when you're in that mood, it rubs off other people.
Sure it does.
I suppose what you've been in the business for so many years, Shep, and obviously we've gone through a big change that's happening, and it's still really happening at the moment with COVID, and a lot of things have been going on. What are you seeing at the moment with people that are dealing with that customer experience and staff experience? What are the common things that are coming up at the moment?
Well, the biggest thing, we recently did a study, my 2022 Achieving Customer Amazement Study, which, by the way, is available free. If you go to hyken.com, you'll click on the little research button and you can download the stats and facts. Now, they are U.S. consumers that we studied. However, worldwide, even though the numbers vary a little bit, the concepts are still pretty much the same. I'm going to put on my glasses so I can share with you. This is really important. I think we asked what was really important to customers as far as service is concerned. The number one thing, if you want to call it that our customers wanted were they want employees that are kind and helpful. How hard is that? It's not that hard. And then, they want to, if they need to reach out to you, they want to be able to easily reach out to you. They want a phone number that's accessible, people that are accessible. They want knowledgeable. We're going in order for the top 3 or 4. The next one is number 3 is employees are knowledgeable about the products and services that they sell. So if you look at those top 3, you go, wow, that's not really hard to do. However, we actually gave our survey, the people we surveyed, 8 choices. And every single one of the choices, there was an increase in desire for customer service in each one of those categories over last year, which tells me that service is becoming even more important. 10, 15 years ago, companies like Forrester and Gartner would say customer service and experience are going to be more important than anything as we get into the 2020s. They weren't wrong, but it's still happening. Customers are smarter than ever. They know what good service is because certain companies, rock star companies, if you will, are setting the bar high and teaching our customers what great service looks like. And therefore, those same customers want that same experience from anybody they do business with, which is why we suggest you don't look just at your competitors to find out what you can do competitively to win your customers over. You start looking outside of your industry and say, who are the companies I love? Why do I love them? And is there any of that why, that reason we love them, that we can bring into our company and do for our customers, which not only makes us better competitively within our industry, but actually starts to look at the whole world. We become world class if we do it right.
Yeah. And you touched on there the ones that are doing it well. What have you seen out there that you can say, wow, if so many more businesses done this in this certain way, we would get an amazing 5-star experience?
Yeah, I don't know if we get a 5-star. We strive for that, of course,
Yeah.
but let's do this. Let's make it easy to do business with us. I wrote a book about right before the pandemic, which was titled
Yeah.
The Convenience Revolution. And it was all about creating a frictionless, convenient experience. A big thing is, how do we save our customers time and effort into doing business with us in any way that we can? And when we start to create that convenience is a differentiator. As a matter of fact, we looked at, generally, customer service and experience makes price less relevant. 58% of the consumers that we studied, and by the way, we polled over 1,000. So we looked at, again, a cross section of the US, but I want you to consider that even in the worst of times, even with the demographic of people that are financially not as well off as those that might make a 6-figure plus income, the desire for service is there. 58% thought that great service was more important than price. Now, if you add convenience to the equation, 75% thought they would switch to a competitor. And I've got some other, if the experience is more convenient. But let me give you another really important stat, because we found that, let me get to the convenience. There we go. 70% would pay more for convenience, which is even higher than just good general customer service. So important. And if that convenience includes delivery, as there's a way to deliver, look at what, I'll give you a great example. Prior to the pandemic, if I were to order food to be delivered to my home, like at a restaurants, wouldn't charge for it. Today, they charge for it. And guess what? We are happy to pay for it. Okay. Once again, convenience and great service makes price less relevant. So I think, to your answer, I know it's a long answer, if there's one thing a company could do, if they already had friendly and nice people working there, knowledgeable people, it's make it easier to do business with you.
Yeah, convenience, 100%. And when we talk about that, obviously a lot of retailers that weren't set up from an omni-channel perspective, we did see it nearly a revolution, a little bit fast forward a lot on that. And they brought in a lot of amazing systems, you can check stock, check your phone. We have some organizations that when you go into that shopping center, they can pick up from the app that you're in there, and they can send you specials and all of these kind of things. I think where I'm seeing the gaps, and I don't know if you see this, is that because we're moving now to digital, how do we marry up those experiences that we have from a people to people perspective into that digital face, and what does that look like? Because I'm seeing that it's a lot of people are struggling to do that and do it the right way, but still be connected to the customers without bombarding them either, because we all hate getting all those hundreds of emails. We want to reach out to our customers. We want to do it the right way.
Right. So first of all, you've mixed like 17 questions into one question.
That's okay.
So let's see if we can hit a few of the main points. Number one, the digital experience is extremely important.
Yeah.
How do companies balance it? Well, the best companies have figured out how to balance it. Some customers are going to want to do the traditional, I want to go in, touch, feel the product, talk to people about it, while others are happy to do the research online before they ever go in, if they even go in. So you've got to recognize what your competitors are doing to provide an online or digital experience, and recognize it. Now, it's important, some people are going to go overboard. Some companies are going to go overboard. They're going to push the balance the wrong direction. So be careful who you're trying to emulate, because if you emulate a company that's like, oh, wow, they're all digital, it seems to be working for them, and you do that, and all of a sudden your customers aren't coming in like they used to, there's a reason for that, because you've alienated them with the 100% digital experience. Whereas if you were able to blend it, and you use the term omni-channel, which a lot of people still don't understand what omni-channel looks like, but basically it's a hybrid of online and in-person experiences where and true omni-channel means they're seamless, they're together. Like if I were, let's make it easy. I mean, if I look at something online and I go into a store, it's a little bit difficult if I walk in for the person to simply recognize that, hey, I was already on your website looking. However, if I'm on the website looking, if I'm on my mobile app that you have, that I've installed on my phone, which, by the way, if you can get a customer to install your app on their phone, they've made at least some level of commitment that they haven't made to your competitors, most likely. I think that's a real important thing. So handle that right. But if I'm calling somebody up or interacting on a chat, it should be easy for the software to say, hey, this person was just on the website looking at whatever the product was. This information should seamlessly transfer over to the person that's at the company who's interacting with the customer, so that the conversation continues rather than keeps having to start over again and again. Once again, we're talking about convenience, right? It all ties together. So the best companies create this balance. Even Amazon is starting to go into the brick and mortar space because they recognize the importance of providing a customer options. They probably do most of their business still online and will continue to do so, but they know that some customers, many customers, make it worth the investment for them to have both.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, again, it goes back to what you were saying there. Sometimes we have those more traditional customers that want to come in, touch, feel, and have that experience piece, as well as have that online piece. We're seeing a huge move in, obviously, there's a lot of talk about metaverse. We're seeing virtual things popping up. We have, I think, one store I read had a virtual fitting room. So, the customers would come in and they'd press, and they'd see themselves
Isn't
in the
that
mirror
cool?
wearing their outfit.
It's so cool. It's so
It
cool.
is so cool. It's amazing. And I'm just thinking, because I'm seeing all of this happen, Shep, and I'm seeing this huge shift in virtual reality. And look, I love it. And my son is big into these VR headsets, so it's happening all around us. Yeah. But where does the human aspect fit into that? Because I'm seeing less and less and less of people involved in that experience piece, and I mean the kind of the more face-to-face traditional pieces. What is your take on that, or what's your thoughts on that, I wonder?
Sure. Well, a couple of thoughts are coming to mind. Number one, the whole idea of virtual or augmented reality, especially in an online experience, is really cool. I could see what the dress looks like, the suit looks like, the earrings look like, whatever it looks like. I think it's very cool that we're able to do that. Where the human experience comes in is where I want the opinion of the salesperson. I want to get direction from a salesperson. I just don't want to say this looks good on me and be alone. I want the person that I know, like, and trust, who I've been doing business with, I want to walk into the store. If this option is available, I want to be able to either look at the mirror that automatically does it, put on the glasses, whatever. I want to have my friends, my spouse, my partner, whomever, put on those glasses alongside so they can see. I want to have that salesperson be able to give me opinion and make suggestions. Here's the thing. Even I will tell you, I go to Nordstrom to buy a lot of my nice clothes. Now, I could go to Neiman Marcus, Saks Fifth Avenue, phenomenal stores. Okay. But my personal salesperson, the one that's been taking care of me for years, is at Nordstrom. She's like my consultant. Okay. I'm not going to buy from anywhere else. Now, I will go online and I will look at what's on sale, what there is to offer, and I'll walk in and I'll share this with my salesperson, and she will tell me I'm nuts. It will look bad. It's out of style. It's in style. It's too cool for Shep. I hope not, but you get the idea. And we're able to interact, and I trust that person. And you know what always happens is when I look at that business suit that I'm interested in buying that was online, I walk out with shirts and ties to go with it, because that's what I need. So the hybrid experience is powerful. And I don't think that's going away. I think that 10 years from now, 20 years, it's going to be different, but you're still going to have a hybrid experience at some level.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Especially, we can see a lot of people are doing the hybrid thing now, and we can see some people are having nearly withdrawal symptoms over not seeing people, and they're kind of going, and I'm just thinking how, because retail for me, or going into a store for me, and obviously I know, we talk a lot about the Gen Zers of the world, and they're big into their phones and all of this sort of thing. And what's your kind of thoughts around, I suppose, um, with the Gen Z coming up at the moment, where do you see the next evolution happening with along customer experience? If you've worked with any retailers or been there, where do you see that evolving?
Interesting. There's so many stats and facts. And one of the things we did in our study is we took a look at the generations. We took a look at Gen
it's really
Z,
interesting,
millennials. What's that?
It's really interesting.
It really is. And sometimes it's very surprising. I'll give you an example. When it comes to customer service and support, the phone is still the number one way customers want to reach out to you. However, that number is skewed because the boomers, the older generation, really love the phone more than the Gen Zs and the millennials, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And by the way, millennials is such a large demographic. You can cut that in two because it's about a 20-year or so generation. So cut that to younger millennials and older millennials, and there's even differences between them. So, but let me go back and say that when you start looking at like, well, who's more sensitive to price? Okay. You would think Gen Z, they don't have the money. They're coming out of college. They're going to be really sensitive to price and would rather have a lower price than service. Actually, we found that boomers actually want the lower price more than even Gen Z. Yeah, it was a surprise to me too. And I thought that's pretty interesting that would, it just kind of threw me for a loop. Wouldn't that be more important to somebody that had a little less money? And the answer is no, they still want the value of the experience. So whether that experience is digital or in person doesn't make a difference as long as you give them that great experience.
Yeah. Really, really interesting. And I'm fascinated with that whole those whole generational things, because I think if you're a parent and you've kids, you can definitely see those traits there with my kids anyways, and with other people's.
So just so you know, this is where I've got it. Again, we surveyed 1,000 plus consumers. We weighted it to generations, population, geography, male, female, and all the demographics make for what we call a Gen Pop study. It's basically the U.S. Census. Here's what's interesting. When it comes to price, let's break it down. We asked, would you pay more if you knew you would receive great customer service? All right. Boomers, 46% said they would pay more. Gen Z and millennials, 60 and 62%.
Okay.
That's a pretty big gap.
Yeah, that is a really big, that is a really big gap. Really interesting as well. Because if we look at the traditional buyer, which, would be your baby boomers, you would think that they would have a preference with that. I would have thought with the whole, person to person,
right.
They wouldn't probably be as quick to go online as much as the other generation. So quite interesting, actually, that came out of that study.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I remember somebody once said, when you're young, you have all the time in the world, but money is sometimes an issue. As you get older, you start realizing you're running out of time, but because you've been working all your life, maybe you have money. Okay. So you would think that the value would be more important than the actual spending of money, whether you save money or not. And yet this stat surprised me, which, by the way, similar questions we asked in prior years, it's doesn't seem to make, it's tracking the same way.
Yeah. Really interesting. Shep, before we finish up, what would you say that, I suppose, if you could give advice, because we do have some smaller retailers and it has been quite tough during COVID for them. Some of them have struggled to keep their doors open. There is an issue with staffing at the moment across the board. They're struggling to get
all over the world.
Worldwide, and we're seeing that in hospitality and we're seeing it in retail, and these are amazing, retailers, amazing people, but they can't get them in anymore. A lot of people are, we're seeing this big evolution of people kind of setting up their own business almost. There's a huge entrepreneurial phase going on at the moment anyways, where I'm based. I'm seeing a lot of people are going out and setting up their own thing, and they've realized the time is quite precious, and they've realized that going into work and whatever it be, at 9 to 5, 9 to 6, isn't really for them, and now they're going out doing their own thing. But I suppose looking at the retailers, what could we do, or what advice could you give, or do you think is beneficial to really, if you could give a bit of advice to around getting people in the workplace, customer experiencing? And we know it's the basics, we know it's about being good and being kind and all of that, but is there anything you could share? I know you've wrote so many books and you've so many studies done, and I'd love to know that. Is there something there that we could take away from?
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot again to that question. Let's just talk about number one. If you want good people, you got to take care of the people the right way.
Yeah.
The number one reason people leave is not because of money, but because of lack of appreciation. And appreciation comes in the form of, you recognize me for the job that I'm doing, what I'm really good at, and you take advantage of that. So I actually wrote a chapter in a book a few years back. The book was titled The Amazement Revolution. It was actually my book that hit the New York Times bestseller list here in the US, which is pretty cool. And in this book, one of the chapters was titled Fun, F-U-N, fun. But fun is how you treat your employees, not like a party, like it's a fun rah-rah, but fun is about F, fulfillment, U is uniqueness, and N stands for next. So F-U-N, it's an acronym. Fulfillment is creating a job that people enjoy doing. They like coming to work. My lead case study in that book was Brian Keeley, who I believe is retiring this year from a healthcare center, major hospital chain here in the US. And he said, I want to create destination employment, meaning when you come here, I don't want you to want to go anywhere else. And the many people right now, and you are probably thinking, well, that's a huge company, big healthcare system. What about a small company? Well, how about a local chain of, it's not even a chain. It is a chain in the sense, but they're all owned by local entrepreneurs, and that's Ace Hardware. Do you have Ace Hardwares over there in Ireland where you are?
No, but I'll definitely look it up.
Because they're in 76 countries. Okay. Now they may not be called an Ace Hardware, but they're hardware stores. Many of them are owned. One family, mom and pop, owns one store. And they're not big stores like Home Depot or one of these large big box stores. No, these are small retailers. And there are some of these, like when I interviewed them for another book I wrote called Amaze Every Customer Every Time, what we found was there were certain stores where there were applications where people said, I want to be on the waiting list for a job here. And in order to get that job, somebody had to die or retire so that there was an opening, because they never left, because these employees were treated so well. So whether it's a tiny company or a large company, fulfillment's real important. So you've got to hire people and give them a job that they will love. And because you want them working for the company, not just a paycheck. Number two, uniqueness. And this, by the way, ties into making them fulfilled. What are they good at that they could be doing for you that gets them excited? An example of that, there's a hotel that I went to in Seattle, and I recognized this guy as a server that was there like 10 or 12 years before. And I said, you've been here a long time. I remember you from the last time I was here, because I've been here 20 years. I go, wow, you can be doing anything. Why do you choose to work here? And he said, they treat me right. But you know what else? I love videos. It's like my hobby. And they found out, and once a month, I get to shoot a video about the hotel and something happening here. And they let me post it on their website. Now, that's his unique talent. And they're exploiting that unique talent. And this guy, even though it's a tiny piece of his job, he loves it. Google would let their engineers work I think it was like a certain number of hours. It might be like a half day each week on whatever project they wanted to work on. So they can go and do that. Small little sliver of what they absolutely wanted was enough to keep them there instead of going to the competition. Finally, get to N. What's next? So you got fulfillment, uniqueness, and next. Next is about, are we doing something that's new and exciting that we could all get, that this is happening tomorrow, this is happening next week, we're going to roll out a new product? Or are people just loving their work so much they're excited to come back the next day? So when you create that FUN, that fulfilling, unique, and next type of strategy for your employees, you have a pretty good chance of keeping those people. I said something really important. You want your people working for the company, not a paycheck. So treat them right, pay them competitively. And yes, it's going to erode your margins to pay them to what they should be paid and the benefits they should be getting. But you know what? Having a smaller margin and staying in business longer term is better than being short-sighted, struggling with employment issues, and eventually potentially losing customers, and ultimately, the worst case, going out of business.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic, Chef. And I loved those examples you gave there and the acronym FUN. And I think people will be writing that down because it's really, really good. I think it's fantastic. I think small things like you said, you know, the example you gave there of allowing that employee to do a video for the website, that doesn't cost a lot of money. That doesn't cost really anything.
They're
And
there
if anything,
anyway.
it's supporting the customer, it's
Right.
supporting the business. So it's just, it is being innovative, and it is getting to know those people in your business and what they're
Yep.
interested in. What do you like? What do you do at the weekend? 100%.
How about this? Do you speak any languages outside of our native language? And if so, now we know this person can talk to, you know, if they speak Spanish, talk to Spanish. If they speak, you know, who knows what, German, they talk to German customers. And maybe there's a way to even, you know, we talked about video, shoot some videos in different languages. So to appeal to, and can you imagine when that employee goes, wow, they're using me for something special that I'm really good at, or maybe unique about. So
yeah.
exploit the talent that you have.
Yeah, love that, Shep. You've so much knowledge. Thank you so much for your time. I'm conscious of your time.
Well,
And I
thank you. I
really
appreciate it. Great to be here.
Yeah,
Congratulations on
lovely.
all the great work you're doing.
Thank you so much, Shep. Please check Shep out. He's absolutely amazing. He has his own podcast as well, and he has his own Shep TV, I think, as well, which is
Yep.
amazing.
ShepTV.com is my YouTube channel. And there are
Yeah.
everything that I write in a book or everything that I'm thinking about will either find its way into an article or on the YouTube channel. So there's almost, I think, 900 videos on
Wow.
there. And many of those videos are my weekly tips that I share in all my writings that eventually get into my book. So they're all there. So you can go online, find the tips that you like, and once a week, share a 3-minute, 4-minute video with the team and talk about it. It doesn't cost anything to do that. You know, we don't charge for those videos. If you want to go to the next level, sure, we have online courses that you can take, but this is a really good start, and it's a way to get everybody customer focused.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Shep. You've been fantastic. And yeah, thanks, Millie. Hopefully I'll talk to you again. And it was
I
fantastic.
can't wait. Thanks,
Thank you
Louise.
so much. Thanks.